Here's a look at some notable NFL matchups on Sunday. Mac Jones and the Patriots look to shut down Justin Herbert and the Chargers for the second straight season. They won 45-0 a year ago. It's an AFC South showdown in Indy between the Colts and the surging Titans. And the reigning Super Bowl champs head to New Orleans to face Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints. We welcome back in Todd Furhman. Todd, last season the Patriots beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers 45-0. It was far and away the worst game of his career. He'll get a chance at redemption on Sunday. LA favored by 4.5, the total 49.5. What do you like in this matchup?
You know, there are a couple elements pointing to Justin Herbert bouncing back, not only to atone for what we saw unfold last year against the Patriots, but what we saw take place in Baltimore. Heading into Los Angeles by the worst offensive performance of the short tenure of Brandon Staley as the Chargers head coach. When you look at Staley's comments in the wake of that defeat, he talked about this team needing to be better on early downs. Their EPA has really struggled. They've gotten by with a little bit of fairy dust on third down. We saw that at its peak when they went 14 of 19 week one. Well, the best way to convert third downs is to set yourself up on first and second downs. And I think this Patriots defense is operating with a little bit of fool's gold. This team has a couple of wins on the year, two of which came against the much maligned Jets. They're going to be put to the test early and often here by this Chargers offense. But don't be surprised if New England has plenty of success in their own right. This is a Chargers defense that's built to prevent against the big play, but it makes them vulnerable to opposing ground attacks up front. I think both of these offenses can get off to quick starts. Look for Staley to have used that time to scheme up a couple of deep balls to Mike Williams and company. I like the first half over 24 in this game. Did like full game, but that total's already slipped away from 47.5 out to 49.5 at this point.
Also on the slate, top two teams in the AFC South go head-to-head in Indy. Titans coming off upset wins over the Bills and Chiefs, while the Colts have won back-to-back games since starting 1-4. Tennessee beat Indianapolis 25-16 as a 4.5-point home favorite in Week 3. Now in Week 8, Titans are 2.5-point road dogs. Julio Jones is out for this game. Todd, who do you like this time around?
You mentioned the first meeting, Hakeem, and a little bit of noise in that particular result. Carson Wentz all week long leading up to the game was touch and go, dealing with a pair of sprained ankles there. Jonathan Taylor only carried the ball 10 times in that defeat as he had his knee drained earlier in the week as well. This Colts team going to look significantly different on Sunday, and a lot of that reason is the rapport we're seeing Carson Wentz build with his receivers, specifically Michael Pittman. T.Y. Hilton, we're not quite sure if he's going to be available, but I'm not sure that's a huge deal by any stretch of the imagination, knowing that this Colts offensive line is getting healthy, and we saw what they could do in the ground game last week in the thunderstorms in San Francisco. Meanwhile, on the other side, you mentioned the absence of Julio Jones, and when you look at some of the numbers, A.J. Brown has really struggled against this zone defense that Matt Eberflus and the Colts like to employ. It hasn't been lights out stopping Derrick Henry, but it does take away the opportunity to get roasted for play action in man-to-man coverage on the outside. I think Henry will get his yards. He seems to every time the Titans go up against an AFC South opponent, but the reality of things is here, you can short Titans stock at the top of the market. I think their defensive performance against the Chiefs had as much to do with Kansas City ineptitude as the Titans getting better there. I think the Colts know their season hangs in the balance here. I'm going to bet the home team on the money line, lay that short price, and expect things to tighten up at least for a week atop the AFC South.
All right, now to the Buccaneers. They're off to the best start in franchise history at 6-1. They've won 14 of their last 15. There hasn't been a repeat Super Bowl champ since the 03-04 Patriots, of course, led by Tom Brady. They go on the road to play their division rival, New Orleans. They're always tough at home, 4-2 on the year. They've won 2 of their last 3 against the Buccaneers with Tom Brady at quarterback. Tampa Bay minus 4.5 points. What's the play here?
You mentioned that 14-1 run Tampa's on, and obviously Tom Brady has had a huge hand in all of that. You look at his numbers and they blow you away, looking a lot more like a quarterback at 24 than he should be at 44. Problem for Tom in this spot, he's going to be down one of his key cogs in the passing game. Antonio Brown already ruled out for this contest. And when you look at where the Saints are strongest, they have a truly elite cover corner in Marshawn Lattimore that I think is going to take Mike Evans out of his comfort zone. We've seen it time and time again, which allows the rest of the Saints defensive backfield to focus on Chris Godwin. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, New Orleans offensively looks a lot different with Jameis Winston at the helm than we've grown accustomed to under Drew Brees. It's a run-first attack and the most run-heavy offense we've seen in the entire National Football League. That could be a little bit of a challenge against Tampa's defensive front, which has been its strength, although it has shown some vulnerabilities over the last couple of weeks against the Eagles and the Bears. I think Sean Payton knows, rather than putting Jameis in a spot, despite having revenge to make that big mistake, take what the defense gives you, dink and dunk your way down the field. and don't be afraid to punt and pin, forcing Tampa to drive the length of the field. I think defense is going to rule the day in this game. I'm going to go under the total in the first half and expect both teams to play it relatively close and tight to the vest, leaning on ground and pound mentalities early on in the contest.
All right, now let's get your very best ATS wager in Week 8 and go anywhere on the board, Todd. What stands out to you? What are you most confident in?
Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to leave our audience feeling warm and tingly by any stretch of the imagination when you say your best ATS wager is a winless football team catching points in their own building. But that's exactly where we're going to go, to Motown and back the Detroit Lions plus 3.5. It's rare that the Lions will go into a football game this year where they have the better quarterback, but that's what we're going to see on Sunday. And when we hit the rewind button, it's crazy to think about the Lions closed as a 3.5-point underdog just a few short weeks ago against the Cincinnati Bengals. There's nobody out there, Hakeem, power rating-wise, that has Philadelphia and Cincinnati a pick-em on a neutral field. I think it creates a little bit of value on Detroit. I love some of the fight they've shown. This is an opponent in their own weight class, and if they're not able to get a victory here, things can get off the rails even faster. I think this Philadelphia offense is extremely limited with Miles Sanders going on IR. Give me the Lions with a better defense and the better quarterback catching points. I'll back Dan Campbell's bunch to get off the schneid.
And Todd, it's quite the juxtaposition of head coaches. You got Dan Campbell, who's out here biting kneecaps, and then you got Nick Sirianni trying to motivate his players with analogies of flowers, and they're going to bloom. So
hey,
I like the guy biting the kneecaps.
I mean, I never played football, Hakeem, but I played for a lot of hockey coaches that were cut from different cloths. But I can tell you, none of them in either post-game pressers, which obviously didn't happen all that often in Division III, or their speeches to fire us up before games, decided they were going to resort to flowers or read some semblance of poetry. So you can understand if Philadelphia is a little bit sleepy on the opening drive or two.
Hey, well, maybe if those coaches did talk about it, you'd be playing in the league right now instead of talking about it, Todd. Just saying.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure at 150 pounds and 5'10", I was ever going to get my cup of coffee in the
It's
National
Friday.
Hockey League.
I'm sorry. All right, let's look at some totals now,
Come
Todd.
out, you're fired.
Which offense do you think overperforms, underperforms? Give us a team total on Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to go to the first half of the Pittsburgh Steelers showdown against the Cleveland Browns, and we're going to go under the first half total at 21. When you look at these two teams, they're extremely slow and methodical as far as first half tempo is concerned. And while I know the Browns will get a breath of fresh air with Baker Mayfield taking over under center, the reality of it is this is still a Cleveland team that wants to lean on their ground game, especially with an offensive line that'll be significantly healthier in this spot. Problem for the Browns is they bog down when they get into the red zone, and I don't think life is going to get any easier against a Steelers defense that's actually significantly healthier in this spot than what we saw in recent weeks. Meanwhile, on the other side, you can't argue with Big Ben's success and first energy, how well he's performed against Hakeem's Cleveland Browns in the past, but at the same time, there's nothing that this Pittsburgh Steelers offense does to really scare you in terms of hitting the big play, even though the Browns will be without Denzel Ward. I think we're talking about a good old-fashioned slugfest between two familiar foes with a little bit of revenge on their mind. I like this game to go to half, maybe 10-7, 7-7, or thereabouts. I'm going under 21 in the first 30 minutes.
Let's go Browns. You know, I mean, I'm all over the Browns.
I know.
This is a big game for Cleveland. They're going to win this game.
Cleveland's fun to watch, win or lose, that's for sure. Let's look at the notable Week 8 NFL games that Todd Furhman has selected. Patriots and Chargers, first half over 24. Titans and Colts, he likes that money line on Indy. Bucks and Saints, first half under 24 against the spread wager. The Lions, yes, the winless Lions. He loves them at plus 3.5. And then you just heard the Pittsburgh-Cleveland first half under 20.5.
All right, time now for Todd's Week 8 NFL parlay. Todd, what did you put together for us this week?
You know, hopefully, guys, there's more treat than there is trick in this four-teamer that we've assembled here. And some of these numbers have been on the move, so they've lost a little bit of value if you want to bet them straight. Speculation, obviously, that Dak Prescott won't be available for the Cowboys, so I think the Vikings money line makes a ton of sense. Even if Dak goes, I believe the Vikings win this football game. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I think the Indianapolis Colts know their season hangs in the balance. You're going to get an all-hands-on-deck type effort. They'll take care of the Titans as Tennessee comes in a little big, fat, and happy at back-to-back upsets against the Chiefs. Bills, we talked about the Lions plus the points as far as parlay fodder. Let's take them on the money line here to juice this thing up a bit. And points at a premium in the Big Easy. Never fun rooting for unders in games involving Tom Brady, but I think this Saints defense is the real deal. And look for New Orleans to try and commit to the ground game to shorten this contest up a bit.
Wishing you plenty of treats on Sunday, my friend Todd Furhman, breaking down the Week 8 slate in the NFL. Thank you very much. Here's a look back at his parlay. Vikings on the money line. They're taking on the Cowboys on Sunday night. Colts on the money line against the Titans. Lions going to host the Eagles. He's taking Detroit to get their first win of the season. Bucs and Saints, first half under of 24. Look at that, pays out at nearly 1,200. Have a day, kid.